As a scientist and a researcher that informs policy, I think we have a really important duty and responsibility to really think about how climate change is affecting vulnerable societies and really think through the effects and impacts of climate change on Pacific Islands.
What we're trying to figure out is if spatial management for small-scale fisheries could be a potential approach for climate change adaptation in Pacific Islands.
The fact that these countries are in the moment working on developing new legislation or revising the current legislation they have, and that's already something that's a goal in the region. It's a really great opportunity to incorporate this emerging concern around climate change.
We co-hosted here in Monterey the Small-Scale Fisheries and Climate Change Workshop in June of 2016. We came back together and started to really design this special issue that we've put together for marine policy to discuss how we could really ensure the social and ecological sustainability of small-scale fisheries in the Pacific. 3 of the 9 papers were led by Center for Ocean Solutions researchers.
A lot of times these impacts from climate change are not acting in isolation, but actually interact with other structural processes like poverty and development. And so the purpose of this paper was to really dive into these different types of trade-offs that might emerge in climate change response that impact or put at risk vulnerable populations or segments of society in the Pacific Island in the context of fishing communities.
Communities in Pacific Islands have a very strong tie to local geographies and a very strong sense of place. And for many, many decades, there has been actual traditional management that's been spatial in some ways. Village-based management, Vanuatu, or taboo areas in Fiji, or watershed management in Hawaii. There's a lot of impacts from climate change that really haven't been implemented or incorporated in spatial management.
We came up with a few pretty high-level recommendations about what some guiding principles should be for defining new legislation that considers climate change pretty comprehensively.
We hope that in the future, when considering trade-offs, we can be more preemptive and sort of avoiding these unintended consequences of putting people more at risk to climate change when it's interacting with things like poverty and food insecurity.